Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed. Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes.
Me too. Dr. Shealy, do you have any items of interest to you that you'd like to share with the broadcast classroom this morning before?
Absolutely. I am on a tear.
Great. Let's hear about it.
Fluoride. I have been saying this since 1967. Fluoride is a poison. The American Dental Association, the FDA, and every state that is fluoridated should be sued up the gazoo and put in jail for what they have done to your health. Fluoride has led, I think it is the number one cause of marked decrease in fertility of men and women. As you know, we've discussed, I think, once before, sperm count has dropped from 150 million to 40 million. And when it gets down to 20 million, we don't reproduce anymore. But that number one cause is fluoride in your drinking water. Now, it also is linked to low IQ in every community. The children raised in that stuff wind up with lower IQ. It is the number one cause of Alzheimer's. It is a cause of diabetes, hypertension. In other words, it looks to me as if fluoride is the greatest harm ever done by anything, maybe quite a bit worse than Roundup in what it does to our overall health. And it all is the responsibility of the American Dental Association and the complacency of the blank FDA. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, the play goes on.
And the ignorance of the American people. Who,
well, in the medical profession, the medical profession is equally culpable because it has allowed this.
But on the, Dr. Shealy, if you read the box or the tube of any commercially produced toothpaste, whether it be McLean's, Gleam, Crest, Ultra Bright, doesn't matter. They all say the same exact warning. And the warning, I don't have it in front of me, but it's something like this. If you swallow more than is used for brushing, call poison control immediately. So if you, it says it right on the box. So before you buy it, it says it. And while you're using the tube, you're squeezing the part that says it right on the tube. I'll look that up and I'll read that. But yeah, so
by the way,
we're not paying attention.
It also damages your thyroid. It's a widespread cause of hypothyroidism. Increases the risk of hip fractures. Calcifies and destroys the pineal gland. Increases the risk of Down syndrome. Increases osteoporosis and hip fractures. But, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, it's all brought to you by your American Dental Association and your dentist, who have been brainwashed to follow suit. I told my dentist years ago, if you put fluoride in my mouth, I'll bite your hand off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, dentists used to prescribe a chewable fluoride tablet for children. They would say, tell you what, just chew this little tablet and swish it around, before you swallow it, and it will help protect your teeth against decay. Now, I know this for a fact because when we lived in Virginia, our family dentist recommended that for our children, and we knew that it was poison. But that's what he said to do. Do this. And obviously, we sometimes we take advice, sometimes we don't take advice. But so the bottom line is, if you brush your teeth, try to avoid using toothpaste with fluoride. Right? Isn't that the recommendation?
Oh, I've done that for 50 years or more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and what toothpaste would you recommend people use?
Well, I like one that NOW, Now Products makes, Whiting. They make one with a nice flavor and it's got baking soda in it, and but no fluoride.
My father used to brush his teeth with two things, baking soda and salt, table salt, mixed together. And for years. And his teeth were fine. He didn't have problems with his teeth, nothing out of the ordinary. But okay, I'm looking for can toothpaste kill you? Well, the answer is you have a warning right on your tube of toothpaste. And if you don't believe me, during the next break class, go and get your tube of toothpaste and read what it says on the tube, right on the tube, because it contains fluoride. And it's an absolute poison, sodium fluoride. And according to, according to this website, Quora, Quora, it says 5 to 10 grams of sodium fluoride is certainly a lethal dose for a 70-kilogram person. So typical person, 5 to 10 grams. That's not too much, is it, Dr. Shealy? 5 to 10 grams?
Well, it's a small dose, but it's a fatal dose in fluoride.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's what this says. Well,
and
when
by
I
the
brush
way,
my teeth... Mm-hmm.
Out of your city water, you're likely to get a minimum of a milligram a day, which means every 10 days you get a potential lethal dose.
And that was something that I wanted to ask you about. It's interesting how we come up with similar topics without discussing them at all. So here's the question that I was thinking about all weekend. And I was talking to Joey about this. And that is, if you go to a restaurant, you are almost certainly being poisoned or have been poisoned at a restaurant, because most restaurants are using municipal water, even if they're using well water, which is highly unlikely. Well, municipal water has, yes.
According to one chart, the average well has 37% as much as tap water. In other words, it now is in our rain, it is settled into the groundwater, and so the entire planet is being poisoned.
Wow. Okay, so that obviously takes us to the next thing. What do you do about it? And from my perspective, I use a ProPure water filter with a ProPure filter element. And the element will filter out fluoride, chlorine, and some heavy metals. And if you're interested, you can go to USA Prepares, and you can click on the tab to order them. And we sell them at the same price that everybody else does, except for one thing. We offer an instant rebate, because the prices are fixed on water filters. No matter what you do, you can go to eBay, you can go anywhere you want. The prices are fixed. So if you decide that you're going to get a water filtration system, they'll switch the filter elements. They'll make all kinds of changes. But the bottom line is they're all the same price, except for USA Prepares, which offers you an instant rebate. Other than that, they're all the same price. So ours are, I can't say they're lower.
Now, guess what? Over-the-counter foods have much higher levels even than tap water. Grape juice, tonic water, orange soda, root beer, grape juice with added vitamin C, grape soda, instant lemonade sweetened with water, white wine, Chardonnay, canned blue crab, Sprite, canned shrimp, Diet Pepper Cola, Dr. Pepper, I think you should mean. Cream of wheat, of course, table wines of all kinds, Nestea, even coffee is because it's somehow concentrated. Somehow, it's got about 30% more than tap water.
Well, and now when you said Sprite, most people would think if you're going to drink a soda, the one to drink would be Sprite because it has less of all these awful things, less sugar, less coloring, less, no caffeine. But there you go. That's not so good either. Okay, I'm trying. It's very difficult now to find this fluoride warning. I've been searching for a couple minutes now to find exactly what the warning says. It's really hard to find. But, okay, here it is. Warning. Keep out of reach of children under 6 years of age. Let me say that a different way. Keep out of reach of children under 6 years of age. Now, class, if you think about it, do you know any person under 6 years of age who has not brushed his or her teeth? Is that possible?
Oh, by the way, don't forget beer. Beer is loaded with fluoride also.
Well, and because it's made with city gin, right? Another term for city water.
Yeah. Everything, but again, it's not just in the tap water. It has been evaporated and sprayed all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here's some more of the warning. Now, this is on your tube of toothpaste, class, unless you are using a non-fluoride toothpaste, which would be something like Tom's or Now. Here's what else it says. This is on your tube. I don't even know where you are and what brand of toothpaste you're using, but this is on your tube. It also says, right after, keep out of the reach of children under 6 years of age. The next line, if more than used for brushing is accidentally swallowed, get medical help or contact a poison control center right away. I'm going to read that one more time when we come back after this break, because you need to know this. This is absolutely what your tube of toothpaste says. Dr. Shealy's been right all these years about everything, including this. We'll be right back. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and we're talking about how you can easily poison yourself by brushing your teeth. And all of the major brands that you would have in your house contain this warning. Now, it was difficult, a little bit difficult while I was on the air to find the warning, because I used to be able to find it in text. Now I have to look at images, so it's a little harder to read on the air. But here is Crest Gum Detoxify Deep Clean Toothpaste. And it says fluoride toothpaste for anti-cavity and anti-gingivitis. So here's the label. On the back, it says, warning, keep out of reach of children under 12 years of age. If more than used for brushing is accidentally swallowed, get medical help or contact a poison control center right away. That's what it says on Crest Gum Detoxify. Now, if you move over to the Ultra Bright toothpaste made by Colgate-Palmolive, now this one would be much harder to read, because instead of putting the label on the back, they put it on the side. So when you squeeze it, you won't be able to read it. But it says, warning, keep out of reach of children under 6 years of age. Is if more than used for brushing is accidentally swallowed, get medical help or contact a poison control center right away. Boy, that sounds just like Crest, doesn't it? Let's go to Pepsodent. Now, Pepsodent claims that they have complete protection for strong enamel and healthy gums. Now, the original flavor is of their Complete Care Anti-Cavity Fluoride Toothpaste says on the box, And they all say these on the box. This is just an image of a box I'm reading. Warning, keep out of reach of children under 6 years of age. If more than used for brushing is accidentally swallowed, get medical help or contact a poison control center right away. They all say the same thing. So if you want to find this out for yourself, here's what you do. You go to a search engine and type in fluoride toothpaste warning, and then click on images. And look at the images, and you'll see they all say it, whether it's the Colgate cavity protection, whether it's the Crest, it doesn't matter whether it's got sparkles in it or not. I even called Crest because they had this new toothpaste for children, and it sparkled. I called them up and I said, what's this all about? And they said, well, it helps children brush their teeth because it sparkles. I said, why would you do that? What is it? Mica. So they put mica, which is a rock, in the toothpaste, and it gets under the gums, and it causes gum disease. They also, for your viewing pleasure, some toothpaste manufacturers put these little plastic balls, little micro balls, sometimes they're blue, in the toothpaste. So these don't sparkle. They're just really nice to look at. They get under your gums and cause gum disease. So if you think that these toothpaste manufacturers are really trying to protect you, it's not true. It is absolutely not true. Dr. Shealy, any comments?
Well, yes. I honestly believe that someone somehow has to take the American Dental Association and the FDA to task. I would like to see the largest class action lawsuit in history against them for poisoning us. They are the number one measurable cause of every known disease, practically.
Class, I hope you heard that. So what do? You've got water that comes from the government corporation water companies that intentionally poisons you. You've got water in beer that's got fluoride in it. You've got toothpaste that's got fluoride in it. So every day you're just killing yourself a little bit more. A little bit more, a little bit more. And your children who have no idea because mommy and daddy say brush your teeth. Okay, I guess I should do that because that's what my parents do, that's what I do, and I'll use the same poison that they use. Except, who reads the label? Dr. Shealy, I have never found a single person, not one, other than USA Prepares instructors, who has read the label on the toothpaste they use every day. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. You go to the website, you can buy the same products that I buy right there on the website, normshealy.com. Kyle in Montana, welcome. Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Dr. Shealy, when you were talking, or when you and Vince talking about toothpaste and stuff like that, it reminded me that Vince uses baking soda. And I don't remember if I ever have asked you this. It's a little bit of a rabbit trail, but I've seen on YouTube and Google and different places people using baking soda mixed with a little bit of molasses 3 times a day, and they say it is killing cancer because the molasses, of course, cancer feeds on sugar, so the molasses carries the baking soda right to the cancer, and the baking soda creates an alkaline environment around that cancer and will kill it. One guy on there, of course, you never know if this stuff is all true or not, but one guy on there said he came back from, I think it was stage 4 prostate cancer or something like that. It was a bad deal, according to him, and he's still going. They thought he would be dead months ago. And I was curious, have you heard of that, number one? And number two, if you have, what do you think?
I have not heard of it until now. and I don't know. I'm leery of reports like that without scientific proof.
Right. Yeah, me too. But that's why I'm calling you. I just figured maybe I know I have read some on baking soda that it does create a quite an alkaline environment in your body, especially taken on an empty stomach. There are people say that the only thing that I've heard for a drawback on it, or I've read, is that it does leach potassium out of your body. So you've got to take extra potassium if somebody is going to try to do that. But I was just curious if you'd ever heard of it or anything. And but it kind of makes sense to me in a sense, you know. And there was one doctor, I can't remember for sure his name. It's like Shira, Shira, or something like that. Anyway, he was talking about it and talking about how that some people have been, you know, cutting the baking soda down, and he was saying it's such a, hold on just, he was saying it was so important for the health of the country that he couldn't believe people were cutting it down. He said, does it leach potassium? Yes, it does, but just take extra potassium. But anyway, that's all I was going to ask. I was just checking with you, and it's
Kyle,
good to hear your voice again. Go ahead.
What you said sounds absolutely brilliant. You know, if it's true, it sounds, I mean, literally the delivery system. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to try it. And I wanted to share with our class what my dad used to do. And here's how he did it. He would, in the morning, when he was brushing his teeth, he would wash his hands, and he would take a small amount of salt from a salt shaker, put it in the palm of his left hand, and he would take a small amount of baking soda, put it in the palm of his left hand. Then he would take a toothbrush, a clean toothbrush, wet it so that it was damp, and then he would have the wet bristles attract the salt and baking soda, and he would brush his teeth with it. Then he'd rinse the toothbrush out, and then it'd still be in his hand, and some more would still be in his hand, and he would use the remaining amounts to brush his teeth several times with salt and baking soda. But there is, salt is abrasive, so you might want to use, let's say, 1/3 salt to 2/3 baking soda. That's how he did it, and that's how we do it. You know, we learned from him. You know, toothpaste didn't used to come in a tube. Before it was in a tube, it was powdered. It was tooth powder. Well, what's wrong with all natural baking soda? You can buy it out of an inexpensive box. And what's wrong with salt? There are two things that are in your pantry right now that cost less than pretty much everything else for volume, and that would be salt and baking soda. So why not?
Yeah.
It works great.
Absolutely true. You know, Vince, and I'm going to try it
with molasses.
Yeah. I've got an old tooth powder container that my grandpa had on my mom's side. Yep. You just reminded me of that. I've had that for many, many, many years. But anyway, you're correct. You know, I think so too. And I used to do that a lot. And for some reason, I don't know why, I kind of got out of it. And I'm going to get back into it again. But the baking soda and molasses, I have tried. The only drawback, Vince, and you can see if you have the same thing that I had happen. It seems like when I drink that, because I'll take about 1/2 of a teaspoon, or thereabouts 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, and about 1/2 a teaspoon of the molasses, and I put that in a glass, mix it up with about 2/3 or 1/2 to 2/3 of a glass of water, stir it up real good, and then drink it down. And then I don't eat anything for a while. But I have noticed that when I do eat with it right after, when I eat within, say, an hour of doing that, it tends to almost give me gas. in a sense. And I'm wondering, and probably Dr. Shealy would know this, I'm wondering if somehow the baking soda neutralizes the acid in your stomach somewhat, and that would cause more gas. And I'm wondering if does that make sense, Dr. Shealy?
Yes, and especially when you add sugar to it, because the molasses, of course, has sugar in it.
Yeah. Anyway,
the example is.
Yeah, go ahead.
The example is when we were in elementary school, we would we'd take a little pile of baking soda and we'd pour vinegar on top of it. And so baking soda would be the base, vinegar would be the acid, and we'd have this reaction and it'd be bubbly. And that's the same type of reaction that's going on in your stomach. The acid in your stomach and the baking soda. Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that this Dr. Shira, I think it was, like I said, I can't remember his name for sure, but anyway, one of the things he said is that one of the gripes against this was that it would decrease the acidity in your stomach. And he said that is true. It will for a short time, and then your body actually makes more acid in your stomach to help digest food even better. So he said, which kind of makes sense too. You know, your body tends to react a lot to whatever's put in it.
Well, when I was a child, doctors absolutely. Well, it makes sense to me. Dr. Shealy, does that make sense to you?
Well, maybe. I have to say, I'm not sold on it.
Okay. How about this? When I was a child, Dr. Shealy.
I'm sorry?
Okay. When I was a child, doctors would prescribe, if you had indigestion, they would literally prescribe from the pharmacy Coca-Cola syrup. So instead of drinking a Coca-Cola, they would say, well, take a teaspoon of Coca-Cola syrup. The same syrup that a fountain, a restaurant fountain machine would have, and just take that. And that would be a tremendous amount of acid, right? Taking that in concentrated form in a teaspoonful of Coca-Cola syrup to increase the stomach acid. That's what was prescribed many, many years ago. I'm talking like in the 1950s and the 1960s. Have you heard of that, Dr. Shealy?
I have heard of that, and I don't like that either.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Kyle, while you're with us, I had a question for you.
Sure.
And you're in Montana. Have you noticed that there are more cancers than ever before in people you know in your neck of the woods in Montana? Are you hearing more and more cancers than ever before or not?
I think so, yes. In fact, in our church alone, there is, just thinking off the top of my head, I can think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people that have 9 actually, and some have died of it, of cancer. And that's in a congregation of about 200, but there's 9 in about the last, I would say, year and a half, 2 years.
Okay. Dr. Shealy, are you finding the same thing in your circles here in Missouri?
Yes. Well, with Roundup and fluoride combined, why not?
Sure.
I received a call
Dr.
last
Shealy,
night.
Go ahead, Vince.
Go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead. No. Kyle,
I was just going to say, Dr. Shealy, if you would, because I trust you, I turned over, I told you about that study on the dandelion root. And I was just wondering if you would check this baking soda thing out a little bit, if you could, before next week and see what you think of it after, because I know you are an intense man and very intelligent. So I trust your judgment greatly. So I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but in my own mind, it sort of makes sense. And I was just hoping that maybe you could check that out a little bit and use your gifts, and let us know what you think after you've looked into it.
I will do my best.
I appreciate that very, very much.
Gentlemen,
Go
I
ahead,
got a
Vince.
call
You had a
last
story you
night.
told me.
Yeah, I got a call last night from a very close family friend, and it's about cancer. I'd like to share this with you. Then, Kyle, maybe you have, maybe this will lead to some of the thoughts about the people in your congregation who have cancer. But let me share this. It's about Camp LeJejeune. It's a Marine base camp in the United States. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us. Kyle in Montana is with us. And last night, Mrs. Finelli and I received a phone call. It was one of those very, very sad phone calls about a very close family friend. And this friend has been a friend for decades. And he's a Marine. He's in the hospital. He's been hospitalized many times. He's still in the hospital right now. And he served at Camp LeJejeune. Camp LeJejeune is spelled Lejeune. It's a 246 square mile United States military training facility in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And our dear friend has cancer. And let me just read what Wikipedia says. From at least 1953 through 1985, Marines and personnel of the armed forces and their families stationed at Camp Lejeune's main base, barracks, family, temporary housing facility drank and bathed in water contaminated with toxins at concentrations from 240 to 3,400 times the levels permitted by safety standards. As a result, at least 850 former residents filed claims for nearly $4 billion from the military. The contamination appears to have affected the water from 2 of the 8 water treatment plants on the base. The main chemicals involved were VOCs, volatile organic compounds, dry cleaning solvent, and degreasers. From more than 70 chemicals have been identified as contaminants at Camp LeJejeune. The base wells were shut off in the mid-1980s, and people are very, very sick from cancers. And the call that I received last night was that our dear friend had bladder cancer, then it became liver cancer, then it became lung cancer, and then it became bone cancer. So right now it's bladder, liver, lung, and bone cancer. And he's in really serious shape right now. Dr. Shealy, any comments about this?
Well, it doesn't sound good, does it?
No. Is there any suggestions that you have for him to recover? What would
the only thing that ideally, of course, I'd like to see him get 20 shots of vitamin C IV. That's always at the top of my list.
Okay, you're talking about 20 Myers cocktails, Dr. Shealy?
Exactly.
And what would that be? What dosage of vitamin C and how often?
Well, it depends on his weight. But the first dose, I usually give 75 grams, and then if he weighs, over 150 or 60 pounds, I'd use 100 grams thereafter. Ideally 3 times a week.
Okay. So what I wrote down was 75 grams. I'm sure he's 150 pounds. He was much heavier than that, but he might have lost some weight. Not that he was overweight. He's a Marine. He's just a big guy. So 20 rounds of Myers cocktails, first being 75 grams, then 100 grams per day, 3 times a week for a series of 20, total of 20. Is there anything else that you would recommend, Dr. Shealy?
Well, yeah, beta-1,3-glucan, I would take 1,000 milligrams a day. And Well, I mean, at this point, I think that I stop with that to see what.
Okay.
I don't want to overload someone like that.
Okay. His immune system he's received chemotherapy. I'm sorry. Yes, he received chemotherapy. He's had 3 doses, and then he started vomiting blood. And they stopped that.
Wow.
He had radiation. Well, his spine or his back would caused him so much pain that if you touched his shoulder, he'd be in excruciating pain. So they gave him radiation, and that stopped the pain. So my next question, Dr. Shealy, is does the radiation kill the nerves that report the pain, or does it actually treat the cause and eliminate the cause of the pain? Can we talk about that when we get back? Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and we're talking about the cancer cluster at the Marine installation called Camp LeJejeune. And we're talking about how those stationed there who lived in the housing, drank the water, bathed, were exposed to extreme levels of contaminants, concentrations from 240 to 3,400 times the levels permitted by safety standards, and at least 850 former residents filed for claims for nearly $4 billion from the military. We're talking about a government corporation, the Marine Corps, causing this problem. So the government actually caused this problem. This did not happen by nature. We'll talk a little bit more about it in just a couple minutes. David in Illinois, welcome. David? Hey,
Y'all there, David?
Well, I've got him on the line. Let's see. Does our engineer have David his volume control up? Alex, do we have David? I'll tell you what, David, stand by, and we'll see if we can get you on the air. Don't go away because you want to talk about Camp LeJejeune. Okay. So, Dr. Shealy, our dear friend received, he was in extreme pain as a result of the cancer, and he had his spine treated with radiation. Is there, when that happens, does that destroy the feeling so that you just lose the sensation of the pain, or does it stop the problem that's causing the pain? Do we know?
We don't know. I'd have to examine the patient, neurologically to find out whether the nerves were actually damaged by the radiation. Personally, I don't like radiation, but then I don't like a lot of medicine.
Dr. Shealy, when I send the link to this broadcast to our friend's wife, and she's a nurse, is there a degree of hope that we can say may come out of the Myers cocktail for the treatment of cancer?
Well, that is for sure. I can't tell you, I don't know the whole story, obviously, but at least it's safe, properly done, and sometimes affects a remarkable turnaround.
Okay. May I pass your telephone number at your clinic to her and have her call you?
Sure.
Okay. And Dr. Shealy, for those who would like to contact you, what number would that be?
417-351-5221.
Class 417, that's in Springfield, Missouri, 417 area code 351-5221. David in Illinois, welcome.
Can you hear me this time?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, real quick, first I want to thank Dr. Shealy. My wife, we did the K2 and the magnesium, and so far it's working really well. She's looking forward to see if it regulates her heart rate a little better.
Wonderful.
You don't have to take medicine on it. And we tried to order from your site, but we had a lot of difficulties, so sorry about that.
Well, unfortunately, the site has been under transformation for 4 months. Hopefully, it's ready now.
Okay. Now, the Camp LeJejeune, that's the base I was born from, and my dad was an MP there. He was there before he got stationed out. He was in for about 8 years. And he said they knew something was wrong because they were ordered to tape up the water fountains and everything. Now, I lost a sibling because of a miscarriage from that base. And you try to get the government to do anything or talk to anybody about that. They don't want to talk about nothing.
So when has the government been honest, Dave?
Well, I know, but it's kind of hard to have to worry that. I mean, they believe my condition came from there, just like D's came from another classified base. I mean, another base, different branch that you had on your show. And the thing is, we have to worry about that being our future. And I feel for them and their families. And they have to sit there and constantly fight when it's something they should have been preparing these soldiers put up and risk their lives to protect us. They're not guinea pigs. They shouldn't be treated as guinea pigs. Or their families, for that matter.
No, I agree with you, totally. I just haven't seen anything great the government does, period.
No.
I mean, name me one outstanding positive result of government.
Well, I haven't seen that. I've been around them and others all my life, and I have not seen anything, so I agree with you there. And if you say something about it openly, you're considered, a, government non-American, hater.
During the Vietnam conflict, we sprayed Agent Orange on our own military. And many of our own military have become extremely sick and died from the exposure of Agent Orange. And so where are the records for those who have been exposed? Well, those records were housed in Oklahoma.
I knew you were going to say that.
At the Alfred P. Muir Federal Building in downtown Oklahoma. And in 1995, specifically April 19th, 1995, there was a bombing. It was blamed on a terrorist truck bomb, which I find very hard to believe. But the building, the face of the building came off, and unfortunately for those who have been sprayed with Agent Orange, that's where the records were housed. So you have to always ask yourself, when something of catastrophic nature that is man-made happens, who is to gain? And who would have been at a loss had that destruction not happened? So who lost? The victims, who have been sprayed by the military with Agent Orange. They're the ones who have lost. And they blamed it on Timothy McVeigh. And I find it very, very hard to believe that a guy with an ammonium nitrate bomb in a truck parked on the street could do so much damage from the top of the building to the bottom of the building. And I do remember, I watched it live, and there was a reporter talking to another reporter on camera saying they've stopped the rescue efforts to remove some unexploded ordnance in the basement of the building, end quote. Unexploded ordnance. Now, why is there unexploded ordnance in the basement of the building, in a federal building? Why? In the middle of a city. Why? And we're not talking about cartridges. We're not talking about 9mm. We're talking about massive explosives. Why was it there? And who in their right mind would go to work and kiss their spouse on the way to work every morning to go to a federal job when there is explosives in the basement of the building? Who in their right mind would do that? So, David, what you're saying is that your dad knew about the contaminated water at Camp LeJejeune. Is that right? Did I hear that right?
Yes. He said they taped up the water fountains. They taped up you couldn't get water out of the water fountains. They wouldn't tell them. They told them it had to do with the jet fuel and things like that. They got leaked out and leached out of the storage.
So that's another thing. How is that possible? How is it possible with unlimited printing capability, unlimited funding, that there could be something as simple as a jet fuel leak? How is that possible? You know what I'm saying?
What really upsets me, there's been enough research and proven that when you signed up for the military, they used you as medical research guinea pigs, the soldiers. Now, I don't agree with it, but us children from these places did not. We should not be the ones. We are a gold mine to them, because then the medical field can fly us around, just like base to base, and test what they want to test on us, and not telling anybody about why.
Mrs. Finelli was a Navy brat. And her mother and father lived on bases throughout the country. And at one of the bases where they lived, it was an ammunition depot. And they had these little hills. And under these little hills of dirt and grass were atomic weapons. And no one knew it. No one knew that they were living on top of atomic weapons. They never would have known what happened if one of these things went off. Never would have known it. They would have been vaporized. They would have been at the point, the very tip of ground zero. They were ground zero. Fortunately, none of them went off. But with all of the chemicals that the military uses, what does the military do? They blow stuff up. That's what they do. They are in the demolition business. That's what they do, for the most part. Destroy the planet. David, anything else you'd like to share with us? This is really upsetting to me.
No, he also was in charge. He also was on the security team guarding the planes and things over in Vietnam, as well as afterwards for spraying the chemicals. And they were told not to tell anybody. And I have letters to show that he was in, where they are monitoring him for that. So,
David, what did he die of?
He died of a rare cancer that somebody told me they believe that he got from the classified air base. Same thing.
Okay, hold that thought. Stay with us for a few more minutes. Dr. Norm Shealy's with us, and David's with us. David, you mentioned that your father died of a rare form of cancer, and you believe it was traced to one of the bases, military bases, where he spent time?
Yes.
Can you share that with us, please?
Yes, after I started calling the shows and talking about those fire pits on that classified base, another gentleman about 3 or 5, 6 months afterwards came out, and he had the same exact form of rare cancer that filled up his lungs, and he was dying. And the only thing he would talk about that classified base was what was in those fire pits. And see, they made them stand over and guard those fire pits 24 hours a day until it stopped burning. I talked about that on your show a long time ago, the blue flames and the liquid.
Yes.
And apparently that was the barrels that my dad told me about that stuff was the finish they sprayed on the stealth planes. So you couldn't see them, and they absorbed, any signatures. Now, here's the thing about my dad's situation. I'm told not to talk about this, and there's no legal notices about him dead. He gave me this card to call to find out about if I didn't hear from him anymore. I can't find nothing about him. Nothing. I finally had to call the cemetery. Even the lady at the VA cemetery, the strangest thing, she said he was brought there immediately, cremated immediately. Even his own federal police buddies had no idea. But they don't want to talk about it because they didn't know about me.
David, will you have some time to join us on Friday?
Yeah.
Okay?
Sure.
It's all yours. Friday's all yours.
All right. Thank
okay.
you.
I'll put that
it.
on the calendar right now. Yes. David, thanks so much for being with us.
All right. Bye.
Dr. Shealy in class. David in Illinois is a USA Preparedness instructor. He's joined the faculty. And he is the man who, when he was younger, John Wayne Gacy attempted to kidnap. Yes. And he's told a story. He has been a prisoner of the system. He has been experimented on, and so has his wife. And it's a very, very gut-wrenching series of events that have happened to David in Illinois and his wife through the medical system and the military and the police. I'm talking about government corporations working together to experiment on people alive. And David's been telling us that story. Plus, I heard a commercial, and I asked Alex, our engineer, to look into it. It was about a product called Compliacin. I don't know if you heard this commercial while we were on break, but it was, give this medication to your child, and they will be absolutely compliant, and then send them to government schools, and your children will no longer be a problem. Now, obviously, this is a joke, but I'm asking Alex, our engineer, to track down exactly what this is all about. Dr. Shealy, I'd like to share a tip. I believe this would be a medical tip with our class, but this is from a layperson's perspective. Many years ago, I saw a commercial on television. It was for a company that was selling training seminars on how to invest in real estate. So what to do, how it works, and how you can become financially independent. And Robert Allen was the point person for this company. He got really close to the camera for this ad, and he said, I'm going to tell you a secret. If you don't want to be poor, watch what poor people do, and don't do it. Well, the same thing is true. If you want to be unhealthy, watch what unhealthy people do, and don't do it. Or if you want to be successful, watch what successful people do and follow their lead. Well, I was at a motel traveling probably 40 years ago, and I noticed that they had in the bathtub, in the bathroom, they had a shower curtain. And the shower curtain had two components, a liner, a nylon or rayon liner, very thin fabric, and then an outer layer, which was decorative. And I thought, you know what? That's way better than the plastic or the vinyl shower curtains. It's way better than shower glass shower doors because it had features that they didn't have. I'd like to share that with you, Dr. Shealy, and class, and why it makes sense to me. We'll be right back. Dr. Shealy, I was reading an article on theguardian.com, and under the U.S. News section, it says, quote, headline, quote, Church to offer miracle cure despite FDA warnings against drinking bleach. Group to hold effective alternative healing event in Washington State, which they peddle a sacrament known to be an industrial cleaner. Goes on to say in the body of the article, a group calling itself Genesis 2, Church of Healing, Health and Healing, plans to convene at a hotel resort in Washington State to promote a miracle cure that claims to cure 95% of all diseases in the world by making adults and children, including infants, drink industrial bleach. The group is inviting members of the public through Facebook to attend what they call their effective alternative healing at a resort in Leavenworth on Saturday. The organizer of the event, Tom Mary, has publicized the event on his personal Facebook page, telling people that learning how to consume the bleach could save your life. Now, the church is asking those who attend to donate $450 each or $800 per couple in exchange for receiving a membership to the organization, as well as packages of the bleach, which they call sacraments. The chemical is referred to as MMS, or Miracle Mineral Solution or Supplement, and its participants are promised that they will acquire knowledge to help heal many people of the world's terrible diseases. Dr. Shealy, drinking bleach, even diluted sodium chloride?
Sounds slightly worse than fluoride.
Gosh.
And
fluoride is it?
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can say, crazy.
Yeah, so it looks like, little bottles of this sodium chloride, CHL, let me find it again. These web pages keep jumping around, but sodium chloride is what they're saying it is. And do you have advice for us about doing this, Dr. Shealy? It sounds like you meant stay away. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Craziness is everywhere. And whether it's the federal government or the medical profession or the dental association, I don't know very many people trust organizations that I trust.
Right, including the military at Camp LeJejeune. I mean,
right, of course.
It's I mean, they knew they were literally pouring the poisons into the ground, either through leaking containers or directly. But okay, we talked about brushing teeth with salt and baking soda. So, class, that is the alternative to toothpaste. That's the alternative, and you may want to try it yourself. Dr. Shealy, are there any risks that you know of with brushing your teeth with salt and baking soda? And I'm saying 1/3 salt, 2/3 baking soda, as we described in hour number 1.
Well, of course, there is the sodium concept. For some people, large doses of sodium can aggravate or cause hypertension. However, you're not drinking it, you're just brushing with it and hopefully rinsing well. So I think in general it's going to be safe.
Mm-hmm. Well, anything that, when you're brushing your teeth, you're removing bacteria and contaminants on your teeth. So the idea would be not to swallow it, whether it's toothpaste or even if you're just rinsing your mouth, the idea is not to swallow it. So literally, Dr. Shealy, when I brush my teeth, I rinse 8 times, because I want to minimize the amount of self-contamination that I'm doing. So literally rinse out with water, rinse out with water, rinse out. Then I brush my teeth with a clean toothbrush. I rinse that with water, brush my teeth with just water that I have in my mouth. Then I keep doing that a couple more times. Total of 8 times. Now, do you think that's a reasonable amount, or am I excessive in rinsing 8 times?
Well, I rinse 5 times, so I don't think it's excessive by any means.
Okay. All right. And I can tell you, if you try this at home, if you still have a little bit of toothpaste, and if you choose to poison yourself a little bit more, just for your own edification, what you can do is brush as you normally would, and then rinse out. And some people just rinse once. Some people rinse twice. Well, on the 3rd rinse, after you've rinsed as you normally would, the 3rd time, put some more water in there, rinse it around, swish it around, and then spit it out. And then you'll see it bubble some more. Now, where did that all come from? Well, it's the residue that's still in your mouth from the toothpaste. It's still there. And if you rinse out the 4th time, it's still there. Try it. See what you think. And then you might say, wow, so all these years I have been consuming fluoride, poisoning myself, and I just thought I had this nice minty smell out of my mouth. It's the residue of the toothpaste that's still there. So my next question, Dr. Shealy, is how often should we clean our toothbrushes, and how do you recommend we do that? Because no one's going to want to use a toothbrush once and throw it away and get another one. So we always use them over and over and over. How long do we use one, and how do you recommend cleaning it? There's a way that I do it, but I don't know if it's the right way or not.
Well, I don't. All I do is after I finish brushing, I rub it underwater with my thumb. That's it.
Right.
I don't do anything else.
Okay, and then, so you do that over and over and over, and then when the toothbrush is worn out, you throw it away? Or what I do is once a week, it'll go in the dishwasher.
Well, I've never done that.
I'll put it in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the dishwashing detergent has some chlorine as part of it, and you can actually smell the chlorine being released into the water. So I think of that as a disinfectant. So I make sure that there's nothing stuck on the toothbrush. When I put it in, I rinse it really, really well, and then I put it in the dishwasher. We all do that. We've been doing that for years. So do you think that's okay?
Of course. It's good for your silverware, and your dish has got to be good for your toothbrush.
Okay. So, Dr. Shealy, about the police. Florida cops. Now, I'm reading this on sun-sentinel.com. This is news in local news for Palm Beach County, Florida. Florida cops snuck cameras into massage parlors years before Robert Kraft's prostitution sting. So the only reason I'm mentioning this, class, is if you think that the blue team doesn't do what perverts do, they do. So we know that there are these perverts who stick cameras with digital storage in women's restrooms. We know that. We know that they stick them under the sinks so they get a good view of whatever they want to get a good view of. We know that the police do that too. The police have been caught. We know that the military does that. We know that the military on Navy ships has been found to have hidden cameras in the women's restrooms, bathrooms on Navy ships. So it's happening in the military, it's happening by the police, and it's happening by twisted GDP. So there you have it. I just wanted to share that with our class, Dr. Shealy. There are these applications that you can get for your cell phone. They are just delightful. So now you can share with your cell phone when you're having your menstrual cycle. Isn't that great?
No comment.
And this will help those perverts on the internet to learn when you have your menstrual cycle. Okay? Here's the article. It's called TheVerge.com. Free apps or applications marketed to people with depression who want to quit smoking are giving their data to third parties like Facebook and Google. So, but the companies who provide these applications don't tell you in their privacy policies that they are providing the information about your menstrual cycle, that you have these bouts of depression, that you want to quit smoking, and other information about your health. You are providing that to these they're free applications. But your information, which is unique to you, because your cell phone has a unique identifier. It identifies you. So if you use that cell phone and you say, let me just, track my menstrual cycle or my depression or my desire to quit smoking or my drug abuse or whatever you might have. And if you entrust that information is easily finding its way to Facebook and Google. the intergalactic perverts, Facebook and Google.
Why
They want
I do
to
not
know
visit
everything.
Facebook. I consider Facebook the greatest drivel that was ever published in the world. What a waste of time.
Dr.
and
Shealy, I
energy.
must admit, I used to use it for one purpose, and that was to say, like on Monday, Dr. Shealy will be with us on Monday, and we'll be talking about these things. Or Tuesday, Rich Scheben will be with us. Or Wednesday, Guineith Isaacs. But I never said, look at my dog. Look at me. Look at me on this, hugging this tree. Look at me climb this tree. Look at me on the roof. Look at me behind the wheel of my car. Look at me change my oil. I never did that. I only did it at that time to share. That's Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and if you'd like to call his office, the telephone number in Missouri is 417-351-5221. Dr. Shealy, we have found that that beverages that we might consume have toxic levels of arsenic in them. And fastcompany.com has an article that says there's 6 brands of beverages that have arsenic levels higher than they should. Those 6 brands include Starkey, Starkey, that is owned by Whole Foods, and these are waters. Penafil, owned by Keurig, Dr. Pepper. Crystal Geyser, Alpine Spring Water. Volvic, and that's owned by Danone, Danone, and 2 regional brands called Crystal Creamery and Earth H2O. So these are waters that have higher levels of arsenic than is allowed. Now, Consumer Reports says that there are some safe brands, and let me read those. Aquafina, Arrowhead, Dasani, Deer Park, Essentia, Evian, Fiji, Smart Water, Ice Mountain, Kirkland, which is Costco, Life, WTR, and Market Pantry, which is Target, Nestle's Pure Life, Niagara, Poland Spring, and Propel. Those are the ones that are safe to drink according to Consumer Reports. Dr. Shealy, we are seeing that we are being poisoned by the corporations that we used to trust. Are you seeing this in greater amounts than I've just talked about?
Well, it's so rampant that it's hard to tell what's a greater amount these days. Every single person that I've tested in the last year for heavy metals has all kinds of excess heavy metals. I haven't found anybody who's...
Would that be cadmium, lead, arsenic? Is that what you're talking about?
Various sundry ones. Aluminum, poison.
Well, so which of these metals are you seeing the highest levels of? Is there one that is more concentrated as a toxin than others?
No, I think it's pretty diffuse. It's 1 to 3 in every single person I've tested.
I remember when tetraethyl lead was banned from gasoline. In class, if you think about this, you're in bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper traffic, and you're breathing the exhaust of the car in front 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 of you. So you're surrounded by all these tailpipe emissions, and you're inhaling it. And let's say you commute an hour each way. So for 2 hours a day in your vehicle, you are breathing in all these contaminants. And even though vehicles have cabin air filters, they cannot filter out all the contaminants. So you are in a soup, a toxic soup, that if you stop breathing it for 3 minutes, you're going to die. So there's really no choice. And that's just the tailpipe emissions. You're also breathing in these rubber particles that fly off the tires. So when you think about your tires wearing out, how come they wear out? Well, little bits, right? Little bits of the cars in front of you are throwing up those particles. And I mentioned on on this broadcast, one of our family lives in Virginia, and I was looking at the refrigerator, and there was this thick, black, gooey dust that attached itself to the coils under the refrigerator where there's a circulator fan to cool the coils so the refrigerator would operate. And where'd that come from? It came from the air. Where did that come from? Well, it's certainly not from inside the house. It came from all the trucks and buses and diesels and everything else that's in the air sticking to this surface. So you're breathing that, and that's why you're coughing. Dr. Shealy, do we know why there's this, seems to be an epidemic of viral and bacterial lung infections? Do we know where that's coming from?
Poison. It's one poison after another. It weakens the immune system. That's them.
There you go. Dr. Shealy, thank you so much for being with us. See you next Monday.
Always a pleasure. Thanks.
Always a pleasure to be on with Dr. Shealy. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you.